What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/TalesFromTheCustomer. Alright, this story's called, "It was my fault for being friends with the staff, honestly." So I'm not sure how to format this. Thank you for being patient with me and on mobile. I'm not on mobile, I'm on my computer. So a bit of backstory. I've lived in my house for something like 15 years now, and as a result, I'm as regular as a regular can get at my local corporate pharmacy store. I'm friendly with all of the staff, I ask them how they're doing every time I'm in, and I make it a point to know all of their names. My whole job experience has been retail and customer service, and I know that personally it means a lot when a customer knows my name. I kind of blame myself for this incident because I created an atmosphere where the staff are more comfortable with me than with normal customers. Backstory out of the way, this tale starts with me getting into the checkout line. There's an elderly lady at the front checking out. That's when I saw the notorious cashier that even the staff hated helping her. Anyway, this lady was just trying to understand why a few items she was getting weren't ringing up as the sale price. She was pointing and asking, and getting interrupted in such a manner that made my skin crawl. The woman would try to ask about the items, only to have this notorious cashier rudely bark at her. "Member card a phone number! Member card a phone number!" And this cashier was getting increasingly aggressive about telling her this. I'm going to school to be a teacher, and I learned that if a kid isn't understanding, then you should try to find another way to explain it to them. I could see this was a dead end of her trying to ask about the sale items, and this cashier borderline yelling at her for her member information, so I tried to be helpful and spoke up. "Excuse me, miss? Sometimes the sale prices are with your member info only, so it won't show up until after you've put your number in." The woman hears me, nods, and puts her number in. Simultaneously, the cashier turns her irritation on me and has the balls to snap, "I don't need interference! I don't need your help!" I have confrontational anxiety, and so at this point, I was both beet red with fury and my hands were shaking. I do not take disrespect well because I was raised to treat everyone with respect. However, my brain had fully shut down from the adrenaline, and all I could do was begrudgingly check out and refuse to acknowledge this nasty cashier's existence. Now, I say that maybe it's my fault for creating an atmosphere of comfort because perhaps she thought it would be okay to talk to me that way. I was just trying to frickin' help, for God's sake. Well, right before I was walking out the doors, I froze and remembered the sweetest, most famous cashier had confided in me that notorious cashier did this kind of thing a lot, but no one ever reported her for it, so she never got into trouble. I've never really liked doing this because I've worked retail and I've gotten a complaint or two just from having a resting bimbo face. I don't know what that person is going through, so just leave it and don't go back. Not today, Satan! So I went and found the manager on duty, a delightful woman I gave advice to about her daughter's piercing. I'm 100% pierced up and tatted. Butts on the ground. And tattled. I tattled so hard and tattled more. I showed my shaking hands, how red I was. She asked me to fill out the survey on the receipt so corporate could see for themselves, as they've had problems with her in the past. Then she told me to call the store manager when the store manager was back from vacation next week. Fast forward a few weeks later and I get pulled aside by the store manager thanking me. Again, I have a very friendly relationship with everyone there and she knows that. We had a long talk about it, to which I told her, I don't know what's going on in her life, but I've got to temper myself. And if there's nothing else she should learn, that good customer service stops the crappy customers from being able to escalate. To which the store manager thanked me with, "If no one tells me and I don't know, I can't address the issue." After that, there hasn't been an incident with notorious cashier. And I, A, go out of my way to not be checked out by her if I can help it, and and B, only interact with her to retain my manners and be polite. There was, for sure, a boundary overstepped, and I partially blame myself for being too friendly with staff. It hasn't stopped me though. They're human beings with lives and personalities, so I'll continue to ask how their boyfriends are, how their daughter's piercing is doing, how's mom and dad. Don't ever let one bad apple ruin the bunch, and even then, I don't know what's going on in her life. Wow, thank you guys for all the reassurance. After reading and replying to the comments, I realized I don't necessarily blame myself. I always try to review my own behavior when any kind of incident between me and another person happens. I live by the motto, it takes two to tango, and when I thought on what went wrong because of me, the only logical conclusion I could come to was that I had some responsibility because I've lowered the professional threshold, and because I'm so tight with everyone on staff, maybe she thought she could get away with speaking to me like that. I may be nice, and I may care a lot about other people, but I also have a shiny titanium spine and an even bigger pair of chrome balls, and I won't stand by and watch when other people are being treated with disrespect, especially if it's for stupid and petty reasons. Y'all are right. Me being friendly isn't my fault. She's nasty, and the staff talk crap about her to me. Add a girl, and you know what? OP is very correct. If there's a conflict, it's usually both parties' fault, at least partially. So yes, OP, you're wise, but yes, keep being friendly. Unless you're in like an urban area or something, because I don't know, man. People in like the city, they don't like people. Like if you're friendly to them, they'll just get pissed off at you. That's my experience, man. But I still do it because I'm stupid. This story's called Maiden Mediums Cut Off My Internet. Customary apologies for poor formatting. Writing on mobile for reasons that will become clear. At the time of writing, the situation is still unfolding, so I will update when I have more information. First, a little background. Exact numbers changed for privacy. For many years, there was a vacant lot on my street with space for a few houses between numbers 42 and 50. About 5 or so years ago, 4 new houses were built on that lot, and numbered 44, 46, 48, and oh darn, we've run out of numbers. Let's call it 48A. Odd numbers are on the other side of the street. A little over 2 years ago, I moved into 48A. So while many addresses with an A in the number might be a basement flat or similar, mine is definitely a distinct address, almost identically built to 44, 46, and 48. When I moved in, I set up an internet connection with a large internet company that we shall call Maiden Mediums. It was founded by a famous tycoon called Pickle Rick. I would usually go with a smaller company, but the house already had a Maiden cable line installed, so it seemed like the natural choice. While it's not cheap, over 50 pounds per month, it offered incredible speed. I'm not one of those users who expects a lot from their provider. I don't need hand-holding. I don't need explaining what a browser is. I just need a pipe to carry my IP packets away from me and bring some back. Although all internet companies will occasionally have outages, by and large, I've been satisfied with their service. Until midnight last night. Or midnight this morning, I guess it should be called technically. Let's rewind a little. Yesterday morning, there was a knock on the door. It was a parcel being delivered, but I couldn't remember having ordered anything. The name on the label was unfamiliar, but it was my address, 48A. The packaging branded it as Maiden Mediums. Before I could figure out what to do with this mysterious package, there was another knock on the door. Someone saying they were moving into the area and had gotten their address mixed up. So did I have a package for them? Yes, I did. I handed it over. Around 13 hours later, almost exactly at midnight, my internet cut off. I restarted the router, knowing, have you tried turning it off and turning it on again, would be the first question any support personnel would ask. And also because in my experience, it does resolve a lot of issues, even if many of them could technically be diagnosed and fixed without strictly needing a power cycle, if one had the skills, patience, and inclination. But this did not resolve the issue. Hopping on my phone to use 4G, visited one of those sites which logs complaints about services being down, but there was no buzz around Maiden Mediums. That really is the advantage of a large internet provider. When they go down, there are people talking about it, so you know it's not just you. Made in Medium's own service status page didn't mention any issues. My tired brain started putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with a theory. New neighbor moves in next door and signs up with Made in Medium's, but they got mixed up and gave my address. Made in Medium sees the new order for a new account at my address and assumes that I must have moved out, so cancels my service. Once their phone line opened up this morning, I called up. They didn't outright confirm my theory, but they did ask a few, "Are you sure you haven't canceled your account?" and "When did you last move houses?" kinds of questions. Partly because of the accent of the lady at the call center, but mostly because of the amount of background noise at their end. I couldn't hear everything, but they've assured me that my service will be restored in 24 to 48 hours. It remains to be seen if I've been put on the correct service level and speed, and given that my most recent bill was less than a week ago and has already been paid, I can almost guarantee they'll try to double charge me for this month, but I can figure that out once I've got a working broadband connection. My neighbor made an honest mistake, so I bear no grudge against them. What perturbs me is that Made in Medium's has my email address and phone number, but doesn't appear to have tried to contact me to get confirmation that I wanted the account canceled. Not even an SMS notification that anything would happen. From this far, thank you kindly for reading. I shall update this post with further details as they emerge. Update number 1. As a few people have commented that they were interested in updates, I'll add a few words before I go to bed. It's now 24 hours since I was cut off. About 16 hours since I phoned their helpline. I phoned as soon as I could, but the line only opens from 8 a.m. The progress is that there is no progress. Still no internet apart from via my mobile phone, which is with a different provider. I will see how things are when I wake up. Update number 2. It's now 25 and a half hours since the phone call. Still no internet. 48 hours with no broadband. About 40 hours since phone call. Still nothing. 48 hours since call. Still no broadband. I phoned them again and spoken to a woman who seemed a little more on the ball. She says she needs to speak to her manager and she'll call me back in 5 or 10 minutes. Update number 5. 57 hours with no broadband. About 49 hours since my initial call. Helpful woman at Made in Medium spoke to her manager and then called my neighbor, who apparently insisted to her that they had the right address for him and that he lived at 48A. She phoned me up again. I offered to send her photos of my front door, bills, etc. She declined that offer. She told me she would figure out what's going on and call me back again, which she did, and she said she'll get me connected again by lunchtime. It being a Monday morning, the team that does that have a higher than usual volume of tasks. We'll update again soon. A little after midnight last night, there was still no internet. This morning, internet! Yay! My connection was down for approximately 80 hours, about 72 hours from the time I reported it. This will probably be my final update to this post, unless they try to double charge me. As noted above, I have recently paid my bill about a week before this started, and I suspect they might try to claim I now have a new service and try to charge me again. But let's see. I just hate when customer service cannot freaking fix your problem. I hate when you're just trying to use your thing, you're just doing your thing, and all of a sudden, boom, you're screwed over. And it's always gotta be a huge pain in the ass to resolve, because customer service sucks all the time, everywhere. It just sucks. Unless you're Chick-fil-A, the customer service is following. Alright, this story's called My Dad Went From Potentially Having to Pay $2,000 for a Car Repair to $0, but not without getting scolded. A short and sweet story from my dad. So my dad's 2-year-old car's AC broke randomly, and he took it back to the dealership to see if they could repair it. He was there for about 4 hours, and the only thing that ended up happening is the guy who checked his car and sort of runs the dealership, call him Joe, charged him $250 for the inspection itself. Told my dad his car's warranty has expired and that the repair for fixing the AC would be $2,000. Sorry, bud, nothing else we can do because your warranty is over. Well, my dad is flabbergasted, but obviously didn't beg Joe because it is what it is. There was clearly no other option. My dad can't pay $2,000 right this instant, so he goes back home with his broken AC and all is normal. Next day, my dad goes to work and his coworker and him get to talking. The conversation turns to my dad's car. His coworker vaguely recalls seeing the car manufacturer having a recall on my dad's specific car for X reason. His coworker believes that might be it. I mean, what type of new car's AC randomly breaks after just 2 years? So my dad gets hopeful. He calls the manufacturer. Unfortunately, the AC is not what the car is being recalled for. But the nice lady asks my dad about his AC problem, and she says that they can potentially help with covering at least 50% of the cost for the AC repair. It would take 2 weeks to process this, and she'll let him know the final response. My dad is thrilled. Better than nothing, he just saved himself $1,000. 2 weeks later, he gets a call from the same lady, and she brings good news. The manufacturer is actually covering 100% of the cost, and the new part to fix his car's AC is at the dealership. Happy news all around. And then he gets a call from Joe that he has his car part at the dealership and to come in whenever to get it fixed. And not only that, Joe has the audacity to scold my father for not bringing up the issue first with him before calling the manufacturer. My dad is confused. Wasn't it him who said that there was nothing else they could do? So sorry, your warranty is over, that'll be $2,000. He made it pretty clear that there were no other options. And it's not like my dad went to the manufacturer to complain. He stumbled upon the solution to not pay an ungodly amount of money. My dad got a little pissed at the man's response, but his car is fixed now, so okay, yeah, I'd get super frustrated with that. I would not I wouldn't let it slide. I would make sure he knows just how ridiculous that is. Oy.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.